Here we go. Hi, Harriet.
Hi, so glad to be here. Hey, Lynn, so nice to see you.
Good to
That
have you.
is that a fake background?
Well, I did take the picture. It's on the Oregon coast, but yes, it is. So you can't see my messy office behind me.
That would be pretty amazing to have that great of lighting and service
Wouldn't that be
right there on the
amazing?
beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started with a little bit of introduction just to introduce our group at the Children's Environmental Literacy Foundation, who's hosting this webinar today with author and illustrator Lynne Cherry. So my name's Tara Stafford Oconce, and I'm the executive director with the Children's Environmental Literacy Foundation. And our event today is called Sparking Youth Action with CELF's Young Voices for the Planet film series. So thank you all for being here with us today. We're going to get into these films in a bit. But before we do, I just want to introduce our work itself briefly. So, our mission is to establish sustainability as an integral part of every child's pre-K to 12 learning experience. And we've been around since 2003, hard to believe, over 20 years. And in that time, our small but mighty team has reached, we estimate, over 1.5 million students across the country and a little bit internationally as well by training over 16,000 teachers in over 5,000 schools, with six of those schools we worked with going on to be recognized with the U.S. Department of Education's Green Ribbon Award, which is kind of the pinnacle of school sustainability. A lot of our work is focused in the New York tri-state area. We have some schools in Connecticut, New Jersey we work with as well, some schools down in Maryland, and then we also have a couple educators down in Houston, Texas, working with the children of the energy industry to bring that lens of sustainability into their learning experience as well. And we do this work through a few core programs, making the path to sustainability accessible for as many teachers and students as we can. Our flagship program that we've been running for many years is our annual Summer Institute, when teachers get to kind of loosen up after all the busy demands of the school year and reconnect with what they love about teaching, foster that community of practice with like-minded educators, and come away with new pedagogical tools, new strategies, new ideas to bring these place-based and project-based projects into their classroom during the school year. And as they're implementing those projects, a lot of times we try to work more systemically with schools and districts through our school sustainable schools programming. We've been doing a lot around reducing school food waste, improving different recycling programs through different waste streams, improving campus green spaces with school gardens, composting, rainwater catchment, things like this, and connecting it all back to the curriculum across disciplines and grades. And as students are implementing these projects, we like to connect them to different green career guest speakers and help support them with getting students out into local green spaces for data collection and for connection with nature and fostering that lifelong love affair with our natural environment. And then one of our core programs that is a big focus of our work, we call it civic science, where we apply an inquiry to action framework to engage students in taking a look around their school communities to identify not only what they love about their community, but also what are some of those challenges that we want to address together. And this is really where the Young Voices for the Planet film series has been such a helpful tool for our team, because when we're doing this professional learning with teachers, it really helps to give them examples of what can this look like when we collaborate with students and help amplify their voices to take a look around their school communities and figure out ways that they can take action. And so these films, we've been using them for several years now to showcase what young people can do and all the amazing work that they're leading to tackle the climate crisis. And so that's what brings us here today. And we're so excited to have author and filmmaker Lynne Cherry to share more about her work with Young Voices for the Planet. Just to briefly introduce Lynne, she is the author and illustrator of 30 award-winning children's books, including The Great K-Pop Tree and A River Ran Wild. She's the founder of Young Voices on Climate Change and creator of the Young Voices for the Planet film series that we're going to take a closer look at today. Her work has been featured by National Geographic, PBS, and the United Nations Foundation, and she's currently the artist in residence at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., where she's joining us from today. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing now, and I'm going to turn it over to Lynne to share her story with us.
Okay. And so I'm going to share my screen. Am I doing this right? Oh, share. Okay. Share.
Just make sure to click that
Yeah.
sound button.
Yes. And then do the full screen. Can everybody see this?
Just click the full screen button down there in the bottom left, the presentation mode.
Yeah, I did.
Or you could press the play button in the top right too. That should get you into presentation mode.
It says new share. Should I do the new share?
We're seeing your whole screen right now, so I think you just need to, in your PowerPoint, either just get it into presentation mode.
Oh, I know where it is.
There it is.
Okay, good. So thank you to the Children's Environmental Literacy Foundation for hosting this, and thank you to David Blockstein and the Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Solve Climate by 2030 project of Bard College. And really appreciate you organizing this webinar. So I'm going to be showing several of the films, but I thought I'd first give you a background, a little bit about the about this, how this came to be. Are you seeing on the top the bar at the top where it says mute, stop video, security? No? Okay.
No, we're just seeing your slides. Looks good.
Okay, terrific. Okay. The upshot of all this is that kids can make a difference. And I'm going to be explaining how, giving you a lot of inspirational stories. So I spent a lot of time with my books doing my research and spending a lot of time with climate scientists. And they would always say, oh, if the people just know about climate, they just know the facts, they'll want to do something. And pretty early on, I realized that just telling kids about gloom and doom or science was not going to actually empower them. In fact, it demoralized them. And so I set out to try and figure out a way to communicate to young people and to adults in a way that was more empowering. So my I guess the first really big environmental issue that I became involved with was the tropical rainforest. And this is a page from a magazine in Ranger Rick from when I was a teenager, actually, like when I was about 13 years old. And this is Tom Lovejoy. If any of you know who Tom was, just one of the most amazing scientists in the world. And this is when he was about 18 years old. And there was an article about him in Ranger Rick. And I just thought, that is the coolest thing, the rainforest, the animals. And so I had this up on my wall for the rest, up until I was 20 years old. And then when I eventually got I got down to DC and I met Tom because he was at World Wildlife Fund, and he told him I wanted to do this book about the rainforest, and he became my mentor. And he took me to his site in the rainforest in Brazil. And here I am here. It's like outside of Manaus, way outside of Manaus, but to do the research on site. He said, you can't do a book about the rainforest unless you've been to the rainforest. So I won't go into everything he's done, but Google Tom Lovejoy because he was really a remarkable person and incredibly generous with everybody. So the Great Kapok Tree came out of that, and it was a success. It got into a lot of schools. But I found that when I was talking about the destruction of the rainforest or any kind of other environmental issue, kids would get really upset. And the way, though, to make them be able to take it in and not just turn off was to figure out ways that they could actually take action. So with the Great Kapok Tree, the kids were doing things like this. They were putting on plays and musicals. And there were kids who had projects like Pennies for Protection, trying to raise money for the rainforest. And then there were these kids all over the world who were raising funds, and they ended up buying this land that is the largest rainforest largest protected rainforest in Costa Rica. And it was all the world's children. And this is some of them. They were actually initially the Swedish children, but then children all over the world. And at that point, you can see in 1950, 1983, the rainforest was really almost disappeared from Costa Rica. And these efforts really helped the rainforest to regenerate and to save what was left of it. So about 2 years ago, I went back down to Monteverde to the Children's Eternal Rainforest, and I ended up writing this book, which was a history of the BEN, the Bosque Eterno de los Niños. And that's the cover of it. That was the last book I did. And here it is. But that was very exciting. So all these stories about young people getting empowered, finding their voice, have been a wonderful, exciting thing in my life and in their life. So these kids, they went out and saved this forest in it's called the Esteban Pines in Michigan. And the kids that this article is about were in Florida, and they started a group called Save What's Left. And they actually saved this whole cypress swamp, which is now Tall Cypress Wildlife Reserve. And that was just third graders. And then I got involved in the Beltwoods. And all of these, by the way, could be a real long story in themselves, but I'm trying to do this fast. But this is a piece of protected land that was saved by kids who got on Sunday morning news with Charles Osgood and ended up saving this huge tract of land that was going to be cut down by the Episcopal Church. And I wrote this story about Flute the Wood Thrush, who was in that woods. And here the kids are in that forest. So working on about issues of writing books on cleaning up rivers and the forests and the deciduous forests. When I learned about climate change, that was just sort of the issue that trumped all the other issues, because it affected every single thing on Earth, the whole changing climate. And when that book came out in 2008, Gary Brosh and I did. Gary was an amazing photojournalist, and he did all the photographs. We traveled all around the world following climate scientists, but it didn't get the kind of reception that we wanted. And finally realized, I read this article it was a journal of a behavioral journal in Canada. And these two social scientists gave it a name. They called it motivated avoidance. And they found that people, when they are confronted with an issue that seems so intractable and so troubling, that they're motivated to push it away. They're motivated to avoid it. And then once they're at that point of motivated avoidance, it's really hard to get through. Even if you're telling success stories at that point, it's really hard to get through once they've kind of put up that wall. And so I made this series of films, the Young Voices for the Planet films, so that educators could start teaching about any environmental issue with the films, which would be starting with the success stories. And this is Albert Bandura, another one of my mentors. And he wrote a book called Self-Efficacy, the Exercise of Control, which is a staple in most psychology courses. And we wrote this article together for American Psychologists about how the Young Voices for the Planet films are how they develop a child's ability to believe in their own ability to make a difference in the world. So this is another young person who just was so consumed and distraught by climate change. And she started a youth climate group and a youth climate march. And she wrote this book, which I encourage y'all to read, because it's about her journey to becoming a leader. Jamie Margolin, she's really something. So now there are 13 Young Voices for the Planet films, and I'm really thrilled that the Center for the Children's Environmental Literacy Foundation has taken these over and is using them. Another book, if you're interested in more in the pedagogies, Education in Times of Environmental Crisis, where there's an article about teaching with hope and inspiration, lessons from a film project. And it's about using these Young Voices for the Planet films to encourage young people and to develop hope and use solutions. And I've been giving talks about this for a long time. But I think people are getting the message now. And another thing is that instead of framing a problem in terms of activism, another way it can be framed, which is more apolitical, is just participating in democracy, in the democratic tradition of this country. So fighting for rights like we've been, like our, everybody who's, our predecessors, women's rights, civil rights, children's, the children's rights for a livable planet from the group of children who are suing the federal government and state governments for a right to a livable planet, voting rights, human rights, Black Lives Matter, I Matter, animal rights. These are all wonderful efforts. So I first became aware of youth activism, youth speaking out from Al Gore's, and filmed him when he was 12. And he's now in his 20s and he's a lawyer. And this is Felix Finkbeiner, who started Plant for the Planet. He had planted close to 1 million trees when I filmed him when he was 11. He's now millions and millions of trees, but he's also got a PhD and he's one of the world experts on trees and was a keynote speaker at Davos in Switzerland last year. These 3 girls are now in college. I'm going to show you this film, Save Tomorrow. The girls in this film saved their school $53,000 in energy bills. And this is the Save Tomorrow kids testifying at the town meeting where they were able to overturn a law that prohibited solar panels on town buildings. So this is the Children's Environmental Literacy Foundation's website. And I'm going to actually go to that website now. And this is something that you can do if you want to see the rest of the films, because this is only going to be I'm only going to be showing you several of them, but there are 13 and you can watch any of them on this website. So what you do is you just go to CELF. I'm going to get over here. It's CELF. It's called selfeducation.org. Oops.
We can drop it in the chat too.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay. And then this comes up and then you can see all the films are just right here and you can click on any of them. So I'm going to start by showing you this one called Save Tomorrow, because these girls were inspired by watching the other Young Voices for the Planet films. Okay.
We're really, really close. We've been really close since like kindergarten. Working as a team it gives you much more courage than if you're just working as an individual. If you're alone, it's always scary.
I have these 2 friends, Mari McBride and Lily Georgopoulos, and I've known them since I was before preschool.
I think what binds us together is our passion for what's going on around us. We're all doers.
So when we were little and we were first hearing about climate change,
It was on the news, it was in the papers, our parents were talking about it.
I just felt despair. It was worse than concern. It was just sadness. I didn't think there was anything anyone could do.
We got older and we realized that the grown-ups weren't doing anything about it. We kind of lost our faith in adults.
If they care about us, they should care about our future too. No one was going to protect our future for us, and so we were on our own.
I think the fight against climate change is kind of like the fight of Harry Potter and the Death Eaters.
Harry Potter was born into this problem, just like we were born into this problem. We saw that Harry Potter was brave.
Even though he was a kid, he made a difference.
We kind of saw him as a role model.
was watching the Young Voices for the Planet films, I'd never seen kids in action before, and it was really, really amazing. And I realized that there was nothing different between me and the kids on those screens, and I could be doing what they were doing.
We thought, can we do something like this? Is it possible?
So I got really excited, and I got out a notepad, and I started writing. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I was going to do something. All of a sudden, this idea just popped into my head. Save Tomorrow, that would be the group name.
Here in Lexington, the town laws didn't allow solarization of our town buildings.
We learned that there was a chance for all three of us to come and talk about climate change at the town meeting.
Lily and Mari and I all wrote some statements to try and get them to allow solar panels to go on public buildings.
At first, we were a little bit scared. These are a bunch of grown-ups. They run the world.
To stop climate change, everyone has to pitch in and help. That means all of us right here in Lexington.
We decided to quote Dr. Seuss, using a quote from the Lorax. We said it together.
And remember, as Dr. Seuss said, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's gonna get better. It's not. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies.
And then the whole town meeting just stands up and starts clapping. Even the moderator was clapping.
All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
It kind of hit us. We had helped this article pass unanimously.
It is unanimous. The motion carries.
We literally just skipped out of the town hall.
We had helped to get solar panels on all the town buildings. We weren't just helpless little girls.
We have more power than we'd ever imagined in our wildest dreams.
After that, it was like, well, we did that. What can we do now?
We found out that they were planning to tear down part of our forest right next to Alice's house.
It's so quiet and peaceful out there. All you can hear is like birds and wind.
And
Makes you
feel really free.
It's just like a whole separate world.
We have forts back there. We have owls back there that we know. We know where all the animals live. We love those forests. And it was devastating to think that they could just tear down all those trees without even thinking about it. We immediately knew that we weren't gonna let this happen. We made a petition to save our woods.
To whom it may concern, we are the kids of Lexington, and we have too many amazing memories of Mountain Road without anyone disturbing the beautiful forest there.
And then we went around to the whole cafeteria asking people, do you want to sign this? Then we turned it in. And I think that they were really just overwhelmed. A bunch of school children all fighting for this little lot of woods behind their houses. This is like where they play. And I'm pretty sure they hadn't even realized that.
One of the reasons why people listen to kids is because we're trying to do what's right.
Whereas some adults, they're doing it for the money.
But they realized how much this plot of land meant to all of us, and I think that really helped them make their decision. They kept the woods there, and the woods are still there today.
We saved the woods from there to beyond my house over there. Yeah. It's more like a corridor in between two big woods. Yeah, a passageway for the animals.
We realized, wait, we have a new school. We can put solar panels on our new school, reducing CO2 emissions and really doing something about climate change. Our whole school will be helping save the world.
We need to go out there and take a risk to make a difference.
We're taking it into our hands now.
Seeing that we do have power and that we can make a change in the world, it's really inspiring. It really changes you. And I think it's just gonna grow from here. So find your team, find your passion, find your power. we could power our whole town on clean solar energy.
Aren't they inspirational? So I'll show you another one. Let's see, we have to go. So after you see, go back, yeah, and then you can just scroll through. So we'll watch Words Have Power. And getting to know Jasa was just one of the most wonderful parts of this Young Voices for the Planet project. She's such a dynamo.
Say hi, Jasa. Jasa, say hi.
Hi.
When I was 6, I had a horrible asthma attack to the point where I actually had to exert myself breathing because I had so much trouble pulling air into my lungs.
My sister-in-law was a nurse, and she got her stethoscope and checked Jasa, threw her in my arms, and told me to rush her to the emergency room right now.
A lot of kids in my school have trouble breathing and have to be hospitalized. I know it was really hard for some kids in gym. There was like an entire cabinet filled with asthma medicine. This is the coal-fired power plant.
The coal plant spews a lot of toxins, so I knew that that had something to do with why my daughter had an asthma attack.
My neighborhood isn't very rich. I don't know why there are so many plants in Bridgeport. There's the garbage plant, the sewage plant, the landfill, and the coal-fired power plant. I started searching up power plants, and when I saw how it actually affected people, I thought, that's horrible. I actually have to do something about this. PSEG is the company that runs the power plant in my neighborhood.
PSEG knew what was in their smokestacks.
I really wish I could get into other people's head, like people in the PSEG, what are they thinking putting polluting power plants in our backyard? I think it may be a case of environmental racism. Up in Westport, they have like mowed lawns, like picture perfect. And this is the most important thing, no power plants. No rich white neighborhood would ever allow some power plant to just be built in their backyard. So what companies do is pick a neighborhood that's poor, and usually these neighborhoods are colored neighborhoods. Some people have had a really big impact on my life. Harriet Tubman proved that if you put your mind to it, you will be able to free yourself from oppression. Martin Luther King proved that not every conflict has to be solved with violence. My mom is my hero because she helps make the world a better place. She's a first sergeant in the Army Reserves. My dad, he's a musician, so he's able to inspire people and make them happy. He plays reggae music because he was born in Jamaica.
What's our goal? No more coal! What's our goal? No more coal!
This group called Healthy Connecticut Alliance asked me if I wanted to do this event speaking to the city hall because I had asthma and I've been affected by it. And I said, yeah, okay.
She's come on stage with me a few times. She came on stage and she took the microphone from me and walked away with it. She's there performing a dance. I'm like, this girl, she has no fear. I was so proud of her. I was surprised when I heard that she was writing her own speeches.
Hello everyone, my name is Jason Mellors. I am 10 years old and I attend Bryan
I didn't know if anybody would listen to me.
I am here today to talk about retiring the coal plant and restricting other bad polluters from polluting Bridgeport.
Because when you're a kid, it's hard to get anybody to listen to you.
I know that Fairfield County has the worst air pollution in the state. I know that because I'm smart and I looked it up on the internet.
That led to a long road of fighting and testifying. I just say what I'm feeling, and it sounds a lot more powerful when you talk from the heart.
It came out that they were going to close the power plant, and I had to hear it a couple of times. Are you sure? Is that what they said? Where is it in writing?
When I found out, I was just ecstatic because we worked so hard to get this place shut down, and it was just really satisfying to know that all of our hard work paid off and that it wouldn't be hurting anybody anymore.
Hi!
Even though I didn't have money, I had words, and words have power.
Tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to just show you one more, and then I would love to see if anyone has any questions. We could have more of a conversation. Okay, that was words have power. The one I'm going to show you now is one of the early ones called Team Marine. And since plastics is such a big issue now, especially ocean plastics, and in fact here at Georgetown, they have a project to see what is living on this plastics. And it's like all these creatures are now evolving to live on plastic floating around in the ocean. It's pretty amazing. Well, but anyway, these kids got a plastic.
Team Marine is a group of students from Santa Monica High School. One problem that caught our eye were the effects that plastic bags have on the ocean.
Living in a beach community that Santa Monica is, we were very aware of all the trash in the streets, in the ocean, and also the storm drains, because not only do we get the litter that we create, but we also get everyone else's litter because it's all channeling into the ocean. There are multiple problems with plastic bags because while they may seem convenient, the production uses a lot of petroleum and it uses a lot of energy, which is fossil fuel based, and affects global warming. Annually, 6 billion plastic bags are made in Los Angeles County and less than 5% are recycled.
The petroleum used to make 14 plastic bags can drive a car 1 mile. How much resources we use just to make these simple plastic bags that are a one-time use only is really not worth it.
Well, most plastic bags end up in the ocean, and it kills about 100,000 marine animals each year and close to 1 billion seabirds each year. What happens is they turn into small bits and go into the ocean, and different sea animals mistake it for food, and then it ends up in their stomach, and sadly, they die.
Most of what Team Marine did was community outreach, so we went in the community to educate others. We've done everything from participating in beach cleanups to actually hosting our own marches against plastic bags, to testifying at City Council, to creating a video for others to watch and posting on YouTube, to going to schools and doing lesson plans, and also going to grocery stores and asking them, are you being environmentally friendly?
We're here at the Santa Monica storm drain.
Evelina and I decided to go down to the storm drain.
Look at this shameful presence, people. Shameful.
Oh God, I'm blinded by its disgustingness.
And we decided to track all the plastic bits that were coming from the storm drain and landing on the ocean. We decided to pay attention to these plastic bits because most animals, such as seagulls, different birds, and other marine life, when they see the trash, they don't recognize that it's a piece of trash.
1 billion seabirds die annually because of plastic bags.
These bags kill innocent little fishies, and they have oil and petroleum, which leads to global warming, and we don't want that.
We held 2 marches to propose the ban on plastic bags in the city of Santa Monica. I'm never going to forget the day we actually went down to City Hall when they banned plastic.
Just for the convenience, we produce something for just a few minutes of use, but it lasts many lifetimes.
We were there till 1 a.m. and they finally said that they would ban plastic. They're the first city to actually put a ban on plastic and then put a tax on paper bags.
Good evening. I'm the Santa Monica Plastic Bag Monster.
I'm doing what I do best. I emit excess greenhouse gases, I litter the streets, I find my way into storm drains, and then I pollute the ocean, which therefore kills animals.
Well, I'm just kind of wondering, it must be kind of tough for a fellow like you to get a date.
I myself, as a teenager using reusable bags at a grocery store, I get looked at a lot because I'm a teenager, you know? I mean, teenagers don't really use reusable bags, you know, it's not cool. But I mean, I think it's cool, and definitely everyone can do it.
We just need to take the initiative, and we need to move a lot farther than we are right now.
It's more, I feel, an ethical problem than an environmental problem, because we all have the power to reduce our carbon footprint.
If I could use a reusable bag and seriously take plastic bags out of my life, I'm sure anyone else can. It's just an easy step that everyone can do. And I'm sure if the County of Los Angeles can ban plastic bags, the whole nation can.
This is a collective impact. It will have so much benefits for the world as a whole.
Reduce, reuse, recycle, refuse, and rethink.
Okay, I'm gonna stop that one a little early so we can have a little bit more time. And you can see that if young people, when they see these films and they are inspired to go out and do something like that themselves. So let's see, just get my that hit. So Jasa actually got a lot of media coverage, which was great. She was in Time magazine and a lot of TV and radio interviews. She was a really great spokesperson. And as I showed the films around, I would get a lot of kids coming up to me, and I've got involved with many groups like this Moms Clean Air Force, and children were testifying in front of county councils a lot. And I see that a lot now, meeting with their elected officials. And of course, Greta has taken things to a whole different level. And I would love for you all to take a look at this. Maybe we can put this in the chat, because this is a movie about the Children's March during the Civil Rights Movement. I hadn't realized that it was all the kids leaving school, just walking out of school by the thousands, that actually started the civil rights movement to get real momentum, because the adults were too afraid of going out and getting beaten up. So this, see, here are some ideas, if any of you are educators. These are just some other projects that young people could be doing or advocating for. New York State has just, they just had a bill that was proposed to try and get, it was a plastic reduction act, and it came pretty close to passing, but didn't, but maybe next time. But young people are advocating to install electric plug-ins for hybrid cars around their town. converting their bus fleets to electric buses, transforming the town's energy sources. Like in Boulder, Colorado, they just decided to get a different energy provider. Young people were very involved in that. Changing ordinance prohibit solar panels, installing solar panels on the school, purchasing wind or solar energy, tax credits, banning styrofoam, switching to reusable. The girls in Dreaming in Green, they did energy audit of their school, reduced the amount of waste, and one of the boys in the film, The Last Straw, wrote. He had a campaign for banning plastic drinking straws, and he started that whole campaign. That now you go into a restaurant, and most restaurants do not give you a straw, and it's well because of this amazing young man. So it's pretty. I think we actually have come a long way, and a lot of it is because of these young voices that are realizing that it's going to be their future, and they want to see a better future. So just want to reiterate one more time the importance of telling these success stories, starting whatever kind of environmental project that young people are doing, but to start with the success stories before you even start talking about climate change or other environmental issues. Start with the success stories so they can see from the beginning. Because what happens is that kids, if they are just confronted with the doom and gloom, that this motivated avoidance clicks in, and it's really hard to get through it even after you've told them that they can make a difference. But if you start with the success and the hope, that's what is going to be strength. That's going to give them the strength to hear the environmental problems, because they'll know that they have they know they have the power to change things. So, are there any questions? Do we have the ability to take questions? Or do I have to get out of this? Stop share?
You can. Either way, we can invite people to come off mute and go ahead and ask a question, or if you'd like to put a question in the chat, we can also monitor that and share your question with the group.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
Thank you, Jerry. Cotty has a question.
Hi, Lynn, no question, but I just wanted to let you know that I have your book. I don't know if you can see it. I taught in the classroom for over 30 years and used your books a lot. And they were definitely a big influence in the lives of my students. And we did a straw campaign because of your books and your publicizing the young man who did the straw campaign. So thanks for that. I'm now an online instructor for the University of San Diego, and I teach a course for teachers how to teach climate change in the NGSS classroom. And of course, one of their assignments is to go to your website and get ideas from what you've done for their own students. So I just wanted to let you know that bravo, you make my heart sing. And I'm so appreciative for all of your work.
Oh, thank you. That's so heartening. That's also, sometimes I get pretty demoralized, and it's the kids' letters and the stories that really keep me going. And I wish that we could get, have a way to actually, CELF is doing a great job. Just think of how many teachers they're reaching and how many workshops they're putting on. But yet I wish we had a way of reaching even more schools, and especially in more conservative areas, to get let these kids know that they can change, especially if they're in in an area where there's a lot of pollution, that they can actually speak out. So thank you very much for your comments.
Any other questions? Along the lines of wanting to get more teachers involved, we do have a conference coming up on April 11th at SUNY New Paltz for any of our New York area educators or anyone willing to make a little road trip and come visit us. We'd love to have you. I'm going to drop the registration link in the chat here. It's called Teaching Climate Literacy, Hope in Action. So that's exactly what we're here talking about today, Hope in Action. And I have my colleague Rowena here on the call. I don't know if you want to say a few words about that opportunity. She's been leading the charge on this.
Yeah, definitely. So this will be on April 11th, and our keynote will be Rebecca Woodard, who is the author of Teaching Climate Change to Children. And so similar, getting those ideas. We have her speaking, and then about over 25 breakout sessions of teachers like from university down to K levels, sharing what they're doing in the classroom already. And so it's just great to like share those ideas, get, with the network and have that support of each other. And in New York State, they just, New York Board of Regents just passed and agreed, that climate education will be part of the K through 12 curriculum and part of the, of graduation requirements. So that's just like really great to see. And so now it's like, what does that look like? So ideas like what, Lynn just shared, these are wonderful to show the students, how it can be done, right? And what's happening already so that they can be part of it as well. So if there's any educators, it's not just open to classroom educators, but like community educators, environmental educators to come. It's at SUNY New Paltz in New York.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we did a lot with SUNY New Paltz. I was actually living there for a while because my mom was there. Yeah, and we did a workshop with BOCES and with SUNY New Paltz there. We had put on a couple of workshops, and we actually had a curriculum, and that curriculum is probably still available if you're interested in using it. It was like an action plan where you take kids through these steps of first identifying an issue and then having a conference amongst themselves, and then finding out who can be their mentors and who do they have to reach. It means it takes them through the process a little bit more detail than just throwing them into doing a project. So if you're interested in that, we can put that either get it to you somehow or put it in the chat. But there's also in New York State, there's a lot of different groups that are working. Like there's a Beyond Plastics group, and I know Beyond Plastics has actually become, I think that's nationwide, and they've been doing really great works legislatively and getting young people involved in that. One of the things I thought that since I kind of rushed through this because I wanted to make sure we had time to show the films, but I wanted to tell you a little bit more about the Bosque Eterno de los Niños, the Eternal Rainforest of the Children, because that's the coloring book that I've just finished, and it's just going to be coming out. But there's a history of this forest and how it was just a bunch of third graders in Sweden, and they were learning about the rainforest. And one kid raised his hand and said, "Is anything we can do? And can we raise money for the rainforest?" And the teacher, to her credit, said, "Well, yeah, sure, we can try. We can do a kind of fundraiser." And so these third graders ended up raising so much money that the high school kids thought, "Oh, they're putting us to shame." And they started a project, and they started actually going on the internet and looked for grant possibilities, and they found that their country actually would match funds that they raised for a project that would reduce CO2 emissions. And of course, saving rainforests reduces CO2 emissions. So Sweden actually matched everything that they raised, and they ended up buying these acres in the Costa Rican rainforest in Monteverde, which is the biggest protected area in Costa Rica. And it was also kids from around the world, because this got a lot of publicity, and then children all over the whole world started raising money for acres in the rainforest. And it's just such a heartening story. And especially when you go there, I spent the winter before this and the winter, two winters there, and to actually just go and wander through this cloud forest and realize what an amazing place these kids saved, and what a significance it has environmentally. It just really gives you hope. That was one of the really wonderful stories. And I showed you just briefly the picture of the kids in Michigan, the Estevant Pines. And that was a story that it was probably the first story I heard, like from when I was a children's book illustrator and just going around. The first story I heard about kids saving something really significant. And these kids with their science teacher was taking them into this forest, and they were studying it. They were studying the ecology and all the animals in the flora, the fauna, and they were doing reports on this forest. And they were falling in love with it because it was just beautiful pine forest. And then they found that it was going to be bulldozed, that someone was buying it, and it was going to be destroyed. And so, third graders, they really take things hard, and they were very upset. So they said to the teacher, well, is there anything we can do? Like, could we go talk to the developer? Maybe he would just give it to us. And they went to him, and he said, I'm sorry, I can't just give it to you, but I could sell it to you for $100,000. And so these kids said, we're just in third grade. We don't have $100,000. But then they just did these fundraisers, and they were just, bake sales and anything imaginable. And then they got on, and they got written up in the local paper, and then they got on the local news. And then once that happened, so many people started hearing about their efforts that they just started sending in checks, sending in money. And so these kids ended up raising not $100,000, but $200,000. And they bought the forest, and they have that $100,000 is used to maintain and protect the forest. And the Estevan Pines is still there, just like the tall cypress and all these other places that have been saved by children. It's pretty heartening.
It sure is. Perry has his hand up if you'd like to ask a question.
Sure. I think you must be on mute because we can't hear you. The little button.
Yes, I'm sorry. As much as I love pedagogy, and recognize that and hope that there will never lose a need for educators. I think especially educators of our youth. And I've retired now from teaching educators in industrial arts, the original complement to the domestic arts of home economics and industrial arts. But my interest is in your thoughts about how young people with modern video and data capture devices right in their hands, as they go into the forests and the woods and the beaches and the back alleys and the streets and the polluted places. I wonder how they're writing the new curricula of ecology. I wonder how they're informing each other, their peers through social media, TikTok and such. And I wonder how they're informing we educators for the curricula that we have to negotiate through school boards.
That's so interesting. They could be teaching each other, right? Well, did you see in that movie Team Marine that did you notice that there was the footage that sometimes people complain, they say it makes them seasick, but it was the film that was taken by the kids. It says on the bottom, it says footage from Team Marine. And they went out and they made all these movies and they were really savvy with the internet and they put them up online and that was part of their success was reaching other kids with that information through the social media that they filmed and posted. So that was, but then also you probably heard of Our Children's Trust, right? Yeah, and I think they're doing a great job educating people with these lawsuits. There's lawsuits to the states and federal, and they've been going on now for 10 years. In fact, Alec Lors, if you remember, he's a kid with the post, you will be underwater here. When the lawyers were first starting, to think that they wanted to have a case to that was going to be based on the rights of the children to have a healthy future. It was Alec who said to them, well, you need to let us speak, not just go up and tell them, speak for us. We can speak for ourselves. And that ended up being the whole power of that and that effort that the kids get up and they testify in front of, state and federal legislatures. And it's really powerful. I've been to a couple of them. And they also have a website, Our Children's Trust, and you can see some of the testimony and they post videos and the rulings. And so, what they're doing, and it's really slow going. 10 years you might think, oh, gee, this is impossible. But they're building case law so that when other groups try and push back, that there are these judges have ruled, and sometimes the kids haven't won, but at least there are parts of this case law that can be moved forward for cases going forward, and that has been really, really important for them.
If I may, I wanted to highlight as well, Perry, to your question, that this new climate education requirement in New York State that Rowena just mentioned, it was young students that really did a lot of the advocacy around that, as well as all generations. And we have Harriet Sugarman here on the call, who's a critical part of that too. I don't know, Harriet, if you want to maybe say a few words about, the role of young people in that effort.
Sure, Tara. Yeah, it was high school students that came for 2 years to Albany, spoke to hundreds of legislators over years, wrote letters to the regents, wrote letters to their lawmakers, and when we heard the regents and how they changed the law, because now we have a change in the education law in New York State requiring that K through 12 climate education. It was because the young people, as Lynne has shared and as we see through her films, touched their hearts and made them change the law. Yeah.
And I have to say, Harriet was on our board of directors when this was before CELF so generously took us over. We were the Center for Children's, we were Young Voices for the Planet. Yeah, and Harriet was a board member for quite a few years. Thank you, Harriet. Yeah, and she also runs a group called Climate Mama, and that's involving mamas in helping to frame actions for their children so they'll feel hopeful and have a way of moving forward. So that's a really great group.
If I may also, just on the question, Perry, about, tools and, the technology and how we're putting things in students' hands. And as I mentioned at the beginning, our civic science program, which is really where we bring these films in to help educate teachers about how they can engage their students in these kinds of action projects. We've had teachers use handheld air quality monitoring devices to capture different air quality data around, idling school buses on their school grounds, or, especially after COVID, like all the sanitizers, what does that do inside the classroom? we've used tools like Survey 123 to collect, data on, all kinds of different data points, but that can then be uploaded into a geospatial map where students are seeing how their data points can be populated in that way. And teachers who go through our training programs get access to micro grants to help get access to devices like these, or to fund a field trip to go out and collect data. So we hope it's okay, but anyone who registered today, we'd love to keep you on our newsletter. We don't send them out too often, so you can get information about when we have training programs and when we launch those micro grant rounds, so that teachers in your network can get access to those kinds of resources to support these kinds of projects.
Kara, could you just say a little bit more about the air monitors? Because I just thought that was such an amazing project. Like I know you would show like words of power, and here's this girl who has asthma, but then it was hands-on. And I love the fact that these air monitors, as they went around the city, was it just, I don't know if it was a city block, but they could actually see the difference in CO2 emissions, where the school buses were and where they weren't. Could you just say a little bit more about that, the data that they were collecting?
Yeah, we used a couple different handheld devices. And one of them has no longer is operational, unfortunately. It was from Plume Labs, and then we used one called the AirBeam, which is still a device that folks can get, and they released a new one, and it's paired with an app on the phone, so you can see kind of the real-time data and VOCs, PM 2.5, PM 10, kind of see the different types of air quality indicators there, and download graphs. And so it's very useful to get into different kinds of data analysis with the students, and make it, they want to be on their phones. So, it's an opportunity to kind of lean into that and use it in an educational way. And I do want to this is a resource that we have that kind of uses our civic science inquiry to action framework around air quality issues. I saw on Lynn's list, can we encourage our school districts to switch from diesel to electric school buses? This was actually a curriculum we developed with an electric school bus company around, how can we start by looking at air quality, looking at asthma issues in our communities, and then kind of get to that action step of making that switch and advocating around that. So there's some more info here and some more resources in here as well about, different air quality tools and websites where students can access those kinds of data.
Mm-hmm. And I know that there are stories of kids who have gotten their school buses to stop idling or switch to electric. I mean, it's happening. They're actually success stories. And if only I was producing films, still, I would, that would be what I would do. Maybe someone wants to do that.
I'm going to drop another link. But in the meantime, while I'm pulling that link up, I see Mike has a question. If you'd like to come off mute and ask your question.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say hi, Lynn, and this is wonderful and inspiring work, and congratulations, and thank you so much. But I was also going to mention that the American Academy of Pediatrics has, I believe, still has a program called Reach Out and Read to try to put children's books in the offices, pediatric practices offices, and somewhere along the line you mentioned, trying to get resources into more schools and perhaps and particularly in some rural or more impoverished areas, and perhaps pediatric practices and particularly community health centers would be a great resource to try to get your books and other books and resources into those offices so children could get them. But just a thought.
I don't know
Thanks,
any groups.
and thank you, Lynn.
Oh, thank you. I should do some research and find out if there are groups that do that, because Dolly Parton has a foundation where she takes she buys up, I guess, thousands of books and puts them, and so every kid who's born in the hospital, I think it's throughout her state, gets a children's book. And then so one year she selected one of my children's books, which was really exciting. So maybe she'd be a good person to get in touch with, maybe about focusing more on environment and activism.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
And
great
I know,
program. My son did that, and we got a book every month from 0 to 5 years old from Dolly Parton.
Oh, my
oh,
God.
from Dollar Tree. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you just
I
sign
know,
up for it.
Wow.
sorry, I was going to say, I know this is the American Academy of Pediatrics, and it's called Reach Out and Read. So I will try to find it and send you some information.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you.
And I just put that link into the chat. This was another video kind of in the spirit of the Young Voices series that self-produced was that last year? Highlighting a student project in New Rochelle, New York, focused on addressing local air quality challenges and environmental justice challenges. And they worked in partnership. Their teacher had originally gotten training from us in our civic science framework and seen Lynn's videos during the training, and then ended up collaborating with the Energy Justice Law and Policy Center, another amazing grassroots advocacy organization, and they got to put together this exhibit at their high school about local air quality challenges. And so this video kind of highlights that project.
That's terrific. That's great. So you can see CELF has its fingers in a lot of pies, which is really terrific. I know you do this, the civic education too, and there's another group called Civics Now, CivX Now, and I think that's probably one of the most important things we could be doing is to getting civic education in the schools so kids understand what their vote means and the importance of voting and about democracy. Yeah. Well, it's after 5, so does that mean it's time to go?
I think so. Thank you to everyone who stayed on, and we love the questions and the conversation. And yeah, we'd love to stay in touch. So as I mentioned, if it's okay with you, we'd love to keep you on our newsletter so you get updates about future events and opportunities for educators. And we thank y'all for being here. And if anyone can join us on April 11th for the conference, we would love to have you. So,
and also tell your friends if they missed this that because we had a little problems with the URL, and with the log on. I know some information went out where they were reversed. So if anyone would like to see this tomorrow morning at 9, we'll be repeating it. So let people know. We'd love to have more people.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Enjoy your Monday.
All you do. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Tara, I think you're recording it, right?
I thought I was. Oh, it does say I'm recording it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, because I went somewhere else and it said